there, it's Trish Williams from CMC Stamps. Stands for Color Me Crazy. Okay, are you a beginner stamper? Or do you just prefer making simple cards? Well, great, because today we're going to run through the process of making a very simple card from start to finish. And really, you don't need a lot of material. I do suggest that you have some adhesives, some paper and stamps, and some ink, and a block or two. Very simple. You can add some fun embellishments if you like a little extra. So let's go ahead and get started. I also suggest that you get one of the trimmers. So what we're first going to do is I'm going to move some of these things away and show you how I cut my card. That's the first step, using the Stampin' Trimmer. Well, I guess it's just called the paper trimmer now. Okay, I like to keep mine this way, and hopefully you've seen the video where I went over using the paper trimmer. Pretty simple and pretty fun. So these are the pieces that we need to make our card. So first, let's always focus on the card base. Now this is a little different from your traditional card base, and I showed already in the video how you would score down the middle and cut down the side to get a traditional card base. On this one, we're gonna run it a little bit differently. It looks like we're doing it lengthwise like this and a cut, and then we're scoring right down the middle. So let's go ahead and score first. That's always my favorite thing to do right off the bat. At 5.5 inches, holding the side, I'm going to go ahead and score. And then we're going to cut at the 4.25 mark here. And remember to use the dark one that cuts. Now, we have enough to do 2 long ways cards here. But what we're going to do is we're going to just cut off a little portion of that. And go ahead and extend the arm of your cutter just to give you enough space to do this part. Okay, so right here, we can use this as a template, but you're gonna always wanna know your measurements before you cut. So it's always a good thing to just kind of think through how you wanna do it. This is about 8.25, just slightly over. So I'm gonna take my card at 8.25, just slightly over that mark. The other one can line up just along with it, which is really nice. And then go ahead and put down, and then we're going to do the dark and cut, and we're going to keep these pieces, keep that in mind. So then what you need for each card is you need this piece and this piece, and a little piece of DSP, which I already cut, and I'll tell you the measurements of that. And then see, I have an extra 2 here. So we're only going to put 1 together today. But just to show you the DSP, you do not have to have fancy designer series paper, but you can. This one's at 4 inches by 2.5. All right, and it's showing you the paper. This came in the new celebration, which is occurring January through February of 2021. We all need a little fun in this new year here. And it's called Flower and Filled Designer Series paper. And it's 2-sided, and it does come as one of the celebration items that you can choose. All right, let's jump to the next thing. So now we need the layers of white. So I'm going to go ahead and use what I have left over to make some layers of white here. Very simple. So this one is at a little bit over 5.25 by just barely over 4 inches. So that's pretty easy. So let's do the 4-inch mark first. So I'm just barely, so here's 4 inches, and I'm just gonna barely go over. It doesn't even hit the next mark. So I'm just gonna do that barely over and then keep my scrap. And then we go to, let's just double check. I always like to double check, especially if you're new to this. 5.25, just barely over that mark. Go ahead and put it down, hold it, and go across. And then we obviously will not need our extra pieces. And that's enough for our card. And then we just need this little guy. So that's pretty easy to do. Usually you can do it with a scrap paper. You could do, I'm gonna do it lengthwise so that I could fit 3. So that's the way I prefer to cut it. So right here we have it is under the 4-inch. It looks like it is like 1/16 of an inch below there. So we're gonna go just barely below, 1 notch below the 4. Cut it like that, and then let's see the depth to this little piece here. This little piece is 1 notch below the 2.5. So that goes in 16ths. I guess that would be 7/16 of an inch. If you want the exact, we're just going below the 2.5, 1 mark below. And I went ahead and just cut some extras. Okay, we're all done. We have all the pieces we need, so go ahead and set your trimmer aside. I like to close it just like that and set it aside. Bringing back all my pieces over here. And my stamp set, I wanted to show you that we're using this image right here from the art gallery, which is also a stamp set that is in the mini catalog. This catalog looks like this, and it will be available to purchase in January. Yay, that's so exciting. And also, as a part of being a demonstrator, you get to order these things ahead of time. And a really cool one here called Enjoy the Moment is one that we got for free by going to On Stage. And I'm using this Enjoy the Moment stamp set right there, if you're curious which ones I'm using. Now, as a beginner, I wanted to show you the easiest way, it's called mounting, to get your stamp on here. And you'll notice there's 2 different kinds of stamps. This is considered the clear stamp set, and this is considered photopolymer, which is interesting because you can see through it. So we're using, it's called Clear Mount. So we're using that one, and actually it's now called Cling. Excuse me, I'm gonna do that again. So it is now called Cling Stamp Set right here at the very top of Cling, because it has a really nice sticker and it still has a classic foam to it and red rubber. And so you just get it pretty centered that way, and you can do the same with your little flower. So now these are all ready to go and mounted onto your block. And if you feel like it's gonna come off a little bit, you can always do this one at an angle, which I tend to like to do. It's just a preference thing. All right, next we're gonna grab our cardstock and a little bone folder here. And so you put your edges together like that, like so, and then go ahead and use that to crease, and it gives you that perfect opening there of your card, your crease. And then here we're not going to put any of these things down yet until we stamp. So the next thing would be to stamp. So setting those things aside. Now what I did is I took shaded spruce and I stamped off, calling it a 2nd generation stamp, so it has less ink, and I stamped 3 times along the side. So let's get out our shaded spruce. You can have any color that you think looks good for your project, and just setting things aside. And then I really only inked up the side amount here. I didn't really need a lot more inked up. It's up to you how much you want to show. I just think that that is perfect. And see how stamping off makes it a lighter color? So it kind of has like a really pretty faded look, which I like. I was wanting to go for that same tone, but just not so bold in your face with it. It's kind of a softer. So that's how you do that. It's called stamping off. And then the next step is to grab something, and I happen to have some baby wipes nearby. So definitely, if you're a new stamper, it's nice to just grab some baby wipes that you might already have in your home and clean that off. Okay, I like to clean that off, and then right away, if I'm not using a stamp, I close it. And see how I open and close is I grab it, pull, and then I flip it over. And then I open this one like a kind of like a makeup compact and slide it in. That's how you get your ink. Okay, now we've done this part, so we'll be able to adhere it. But I want to do this portion, which is this little flower, and Enjoy the Moment next. Since we're doing stamping right now, we might as well finish the stamping. Okay, a light touch is the right kind of way to stamp, in my opinion. I've seen so many beginners, and quite a few beginners just really go to town and get like way too much stuff on their ink pad, and it tends to, if you do that, tends to get all over your fingers, and it could get all over your paper if you have it on the edges. So just a simple stamp there. Once again, you can clean it and close that ink pad since we're done with it. And for the final time, we're going to open our shaded spruce. So once again, you grab your little 2 rock climbing fingers, kind of pull at that ledge there and pull. And the more and more you use and open these, the easier they get. Open like a makeup compact and slide. And then this one I found, this stamp is kind of tiny. I found that I pushed too hard and a lot of it got on the sides when I just didn't need to. Just kind of a light touch to get enough ink on there. And you can continue to do what I'm doing and check to make sure you have enough. And then figure out where you want to line up. Use your palms to kind of help you guide. Push, and then I hold for quite a bit because then it can absorb into my paper and come straight up. No rock and roll here. I'm gonna go straight down and straight up, as you know, as long as I just let it absorb into my paper. So those are some of my tips on how to get your best stamped image. And putting our card here so we can kind of put it together now. Now this is the easy part, you guys. We simply just put it together. And it's your choice on what kind of adhesive you prefer to use. I'm gonna show you both. Okay, I'm not necessarily, I like them both, and I just like to give you guys the option of which one you would prefer. And I use them for both different things, I suppose. I guess I'm naturally more drawn to using the liquid glue, which is called this multi-purpose liquid glue by it's a Tombow brand. I do prefer this because, especially if you're a beginner, you can put just a little down. Less is more on this, and don't go right to your edges unless you really want those to adhere. A little bit in the middle. And I'll go back to the reason I love this is because it gives you about 30 seconds of grace period that you can kind of figure out where you want to align this layer, which is super cool. It just gives you a little bit of leeway on moving things around if you didn't get it just perfect the first time. Now, you may get inky fingers with that, and that is just fine. Just to point out, I'll use it one more time so you can kind of tell the difference and decide which one you like. Some people don't like how they get inky fingers, or not inky, glue. Sometimes will spew out if you do too much or it's too close to the edges, or sometimes you'll just accidentally get some on you. That is just fine. Because, ooh, see, now I love that I can move this around a little because I didn't have it perfectly aligned the first time. See how it's kind of sliding? Just grab your baby wipe, have one near your work surface, and you can go ahead and clean it up. Oh, this card is so easy. I'm loving it. So now we need to just visualize about from here on this left side here is where we need to put a couple more little strips of adhesive. And I'm going to go ahead and use the sill on this one. I'm not a pro on this. There's different ways that you kind of check up with it, but it works really well for me and I enjoy using it. So like I said, it just depends on the project that I'm using it for. And then align it up, and once you put it down with this kind of adhesive, you're not going to be able to bring it up. Now, it's very important that you don't put a little extra adhesive too far over, because then that will just glue and your card will not be able to open perfectly. And it's not the 100% straight, but I don't even think anyone would notice. Okay, the very last thing is the most fun, in my opinion, is to put on some really fun embellishments. I just lightly put these down so I can decide where I want to put them. And in this case, I'm going to put them in the same spots because I like how that turned out. Such a simple, fun, and easy card. Then if you like where it's at, go ahead and press those down, and voila. Now you'll see that as it dries, the ink will be a little lighter as it dries. So there you go. You got an easy card, and I hope you could see what materials you would want to purchase to make some simple cards at your home on your own. That is one of my goals as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, is to help you feel confident to do this at home. So I hope this video helped. Go ahead and ask me any questions. And of course, when you're ready, shop at the shop link seen below. Thank you so much for joining me. I had a great time showing you this card. Thank you, and hope that you can make this at home and even alter it and make it your own. Have a good day. Bye.